Eric Olson is Deputy Director of the Wilson Center's Latin American program. Eric, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
We just came from the auditorium, all of us, after 600 people gathering to hear Vice President Pence speak at the Wilson Center about Latin America. Before I ask you about anything specific, just your general impression of the event.
Well, it was very positive. It's very clear that Vice President Pence and the administration is committed to Central America, but he also spoke more broadly to other issues in the region, and I think that's all very positive, especially when you realize that, the administration got their hands full in North Korea and Syria and other key and important issues around the world. It would be very easy to overlook what's happening in Central America, but he recognized, and I think correctly, that it's important. It's an issue of vital national interest to the United States.
When he uses phrases like bound together by history and geography, is this music to the ears of countries in Latin America?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they feel like it's a recognition that their people who have migrated to the United States, that have been a part of the United States for decades, frankly, have made a big contribution and have had an influence on this country. And I think, the backdrop of that is some of the anti-immigrant rhetoric that's come out on the campaign trail and elsewhere. So I think they look at statements like that as saying maybe he does recognize our role, doesn't change his view of migration necessarily, but he does recognize the role of Central America, of Latin America in the United States, and that's a positive.
Was there anything he said policy specific that was either surprising to you or you think is worth noting?
Well, I think he stated again the commitment to the region. That's very important. Maybe that doesn't seem surprising, but frankly, we weren't all sure. This is a first policy statement coming from the vice president of what the level of commitment was. So that maybe isn't surprising, but it's reassuring, let's put it that way. And he put it in the context of partnership, which is the other maybe buzzword, but still a really important one. It's not so much the U.S. imposing on others or demanding things of others, but actually working together. The big story here also is that the U.S. has agreed to work with Mexico around these issues. Again, the Mexico relationship's been a little bit contentious in the early days of the administration, but this is a sign that they're willing to work together collaboratively in Central America.
You juxtapose those early days of squabbling over the wall to the comments today about Mexico, and that's a world of difference.
It's a very significant difference, and I think the vice president was very subtly saying that we need to think of these as two kind of maybe related but separate issues. What the United States does to protect its borders, to protect itself, is one thing, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work with neighbors and partners in the region to solve problems that affect them, but affect us as well.
What did you think of the bundling, essentially, of Venezuela and Cuba in making points about democratic ideals?
Well, I think they're signaling again, and not at all surprising, that the fact that U.S. values and U.S. foreign policy has focused a lot on promotion of democracy in Latin America over the last 20, 30 years, and that these two countries in particular have been ones that have certainly not lived up to those standards. He talked about protecting the democratic charter, which the U.S. was an architect of. This is a regional charter that defines democracy as the preferred form of government, and the countries have all committed to living up to those standards. Clearly, Venezuela hasn't done this, and the challenge right now is, can you get the region to hold the Venezuelan government accountable for its failure in this area of democratic governance?
Eric, thanks for joining us, and congratulations. Nice to see a spotlight on your work from the executive branch.
Appreciate it.